Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. I hope you've got your coffee. It's Monday. Good morning. Thanks so much for being here bright and early on this Monday morning. Um, Sorry, I've got some papers laying around here and some books. I'm always trying to read. This is a magazine. I am a buyers and sellers specialist. So this is one of the magazines I get for being a residential specialist. Um, Actually, I don't think I'm finished with that full credential, but I do have the buyer part and the seller part. Anyway, good morning. If you're watching from Pensacola, I hope you didn't have any damage from all these crazy storms we had. I've had people messaging me, gosh, is this normal for Pensacola? Is this, we're going to move to the area. Is this normal? Um, yes and no. So during the summer months, we have a lot of rain, sometimes some thunderstorms, but usually nothing like this. I mean, this was a patch of storms that came through that were not your ordinary storm for us. So anyway, hopefully everyone stayed dry. Maybe you had a nap. I napped one time because my Shih Tzu, who is now sleeping down here at my feet, is terrified of storms. And these were pretty severe, y'all. It was thundering and lightning and just going a little bit crazy. So she was like clawing at my face. I don't know if you saw that I did post a photo. I just finally put her in my backpack because I had stuff to do and I couldn't hold her and do all the things. So I just stuck her in my backpack. That seemed to calm her down. And then after a while, she was like, okay, I'm tired of this. And she got down and ran around for a little while. So anyway, all right, well, good morning. Happy Monday. I wanted to continue on a little bit. So we've been talking in the last couple of weeks about contracts, contract negotiation, and knowing what you need to know if you're a buyer or a seller. So today I'm going to talk about if you're a buyer. So, sorry, my glasses, I guess I've grabbed them too many times. So let me just see if I can get rid of some of this smudge here. I don't really need them to see right now. I just need them to read. And unfortunately, I'm all too familiar with the topic I'm going to talk about today, so I don't really need to read it. But just for the sake of it, I will click over to my contract here and I'm going to tell you. So one of the things people always are concerned about, especially when you're moving to a new state and you're not really familiar with our taxes, property taxes. So in the offer to purchase, so in the sales contract, it is line number 254. So if you're under contract right now or getting ready to write a contract, and you're not doing this with me or my team, make sure you look at this line. It is called Property Tax Disclosure Summary. Here's how it starts off. I'm just going to read it for you. Buyer should not rely on the seller's current property taxes as the amount of property taxes that the buyer may be obligated to pay. Interesting, right? Because we always look up taxes. People always want to know, what are the taxes? So everyone's tax situation is slightly different here in Florida. Why is that, you ask? Well, we have what's called homestead. So if it's your primary residence, you can apply for what is called a homestead exemption. Now that gives you a certain dollar amount off of the estimated value of the tax you pay. So let's say it's $50,000 for a single person. If your home is valued at $150,000, you're only going to pay tax on $100,000. Just for simple math. Don't take that to the bank. I'm just using that as an example for simplicity. So homestead is one thing. Property value. So when a home is sold or transferred, that can often trigger a reassessment. So if the people living in the home now paid $100,000 for the home, and thanks to COVID, you paid $300,000 for the home, well, that could trigger the property appraiser to reappraise that property and charge you a higher tax, because they do look at the price it was sold for. And when you're doing your closing, the closing agent will also do an estimate based on what you're paying. So the way it works is the homeowner, the seller, is going to pay tax up until the day of closing, and then you, the new homeowner, take over the day after closing till the end of the year, and they prorate that. So our taxes are paid in arrears, right? So we pay our taxes at the end of the year. Usually, see, in North Carolina, they drill it in your head. It's by January 6th or it's late. But anyway, taxes are due at the first of the year. So if taxes have already been paid, then the seller will get a credit. If they have not been paid, then I just confused myself. So if the seller's already paid them, the buyer pays their portion back for when they buy it to the end of the year, right? And if they've not been paid, then the seller is going to pay into those taxes and the buyer is going to pay into those taxes. And then at the end of the year, if there's an overage, the buyer will get some money back. So taxes always confuse everybody. So the best thing to do is always know what the property tax value is, but B, don't count on what the current owner has paid, because yours could be more. So here's another thing. If they're a disabled veteran, 100%, and they don't pay any property taxes, that doesn't mean you get to pay no property taxes. Now, you may get some credit that while everything's going through the system until it all catches up, but you will have to pay taxes. So if you look it up and you're like, oh, this home doesn't have any taxes, well, that's because of the person, not because of the home. So remember that. And it's always best when you're buying or selling to sit down and go over this. So what we get is toward the end of the process, right before closing, we'll get a HUD statement or an ALTA. It depends on what you call it. We call them ALTAs now. And that will go over it's itemized, every line. So the best thing to do at that point is look at that number for your taxes and see what you're paying, so you know. Because at the end of the year, you're going to get a tax statement, and it will usually say, if you have a mortgage, it will say this is not a bill. Because if you've bought a home before, you know that your taxes are rolled into your mortgage. However, if you do not have a mortgage, you have to pay those taxes. For the first time last year, I owned a property that I owned outright and completely forgot about the taxes, y'all. I'm so used to having a mortgage, I just completely forgot about it. Thankfully, they only charged me a very minimal late fee. They were understanding, and they let me pay everything and catch it all up. And they didn't sell my condo on the courthouse steps. So all of this is to say, pay attention to your taxes. Don't rely on what the current homeowner pays as what you will pay, because you could have a higher tax bill for several reasons. But when you're going through this process, your agent can talk to you about this. Now, I don't say, here's definitely what your taxes are, but what I will do is I'll do the calculations. I'll talk to the title company, and the title company will tell me, based on our calculations, it should be about X, but until we balance, I won't be able to tell you exactly. So balance, that's one more term I just threw in there at you. I'll explain this real quick and then we'll move on. So if there's a lender, even if there's not a lender, before closing, everything has to balance. Both sides have to add up. The buyer side and the seller side, everything has to end up, I say at zero. So there shouldn't be any money left on the table that nobody knows where it goes, right? All the dollars and cents should be accounted for. When there's a lender involved, the title company and the lender have to balance. So what the lender came up with and what the title company came up with has to be the same. If there's any difference, they'll start it over. Not the whole process, just the balancing. So that's a little tidbit of information for you. But anyway, just pay attention to taxes, ask questions. I'm not a tax expert. I will refer you back to the county or the city, depending on where you are and how many taxes and who you've got to pay. But just be aware of that. Always have a contingency fund. So I tell all of my clients, make sure you have a little bit of extra money over what the lender is telling you you're going to need to bring to closing, just in case taxes are slightly higher, just in case insurance is slightly higher, things like that. So you don't want to go into a closing and count your pennies and realize you're only going to have 5 pennies left when you sign that document, because you still want to eat, right? You want to have pizza on the floor the first night of your new home. So that's my little tidbit for you today on what the contract says about taxes. Just pay attention to that. We always recommend, if you have questions, contact the county property appraiser's office for more information. They're going to be your experts on this. I can advise you, but I cannot guide you, or I can guide you but not advise you, because I'm not a tax professional. Okay. Now that that's clear as mud, I moved things around in my office this weekend. I had my light sitting on my desk, and it was taking up a huge space where I usually keep my books that I'm supposed to be reading. So I moved it. So hopefully the lighting is good for you. Okay, so that is that today, y'all. It's Monday. Get out there and have a great day. If you need me, call me. And here's the thing. If you know someone who needs me, have them call me, or better yet, send me their information and I'll call them. I'm always happy to help friends and family and clients. And really, that's really what I build my business on, is word of mouth and helping people who already know me or know someone who knows me. So send me out into the universe there. I've got a team now, so we have lots of time and attention for you. And we're just here and ready to help. All right, have a great Monday. Get out there and do something fun today. Smile at your neighbor, even if you don't like them. Grit your teeth and smile. All right, have a good day. If you need me, call me. And always, always remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be you. And I'll see you tomorrow. All right, have a good day. Get out there, get busy. Don't sit on the couch all day. I mean, if you can, that's okay, right?